It is good to feel the confidence of not having to feel like I have to remember or prepare anything because you're just speaking your truth. And
Speaking to Guido's core, which is always there and has always been there. And today we're going to create a conversation for people. So it can only be good. All right, I'll take... Do you want to keep this as
it's probably easier not
as
to
a story
have...
reminder? Cool.
Or even this one might be distracting to even have here.
Yeah, we'll just do those two, like I usually have. And then this can go. And then I have those two and those for you. Okay. So welcome to the Human CV. I've got Guido Loeffler here with me. And Guido is an ENFJ apparently.
Apparently.
Do any of these look like, yeah, that's totally me?
Yes, definitely. Although I find myself, I can try to relate to most characters that are put in front of you because you just imagine yourself in those shoes and see how it could relate. So sometimes trick myself to be, well, I could be that or that. And yeah. But yes, they do speak to me.
How did it go for you to fill in this human CV? It was a last minute notice. You said literally like a couple hours ago, yes, Jen, I'm coming, I'll do this interview with you. And then I said, by the way, you need to fill in a bunch of questions. Yeah. So then how did that go for you?
That's all right. I knew there were some for the human CV. It went for me like, I guess, most things where I need to be in the right headspace and I can't just do little bits as I think of them and come back to it. I had to create a space with, after work in the evening with a cup of tea and just relax and then when I was there, it pretty much just flowed all the way through and sort of try to detach from normal life and just
go all in, eh?
Yeah.
It's so cool that when you actually sit down and the first draft you sent through to me was free flow writing. So I got the privilege to actually dive into your mind and see the full story. What we have now is an edited version because a CV, usually people say they want 2 pages, not longer, which is an artificial limitation. It's a construct, but it's one. So in line with that, when I'm looking at your CV right now, we've got a really big story hidden behind this Kilimanjaro, the Maverick in Brazil, and then also how you currently shape your life in Christchurch in New Zealand. So you have connections to a bunch of different places. You have an accent that is from?
My accent comes and goes depending on who I am speaking to, but from Holland originally.
Right, because your name Guido Loeffler. Loeffler means the one who spoons.
Yes.
That's a German word too. Loeffler is spoon.
Yep.
So that's a Dutch background or South African?
Well, that's from my granddad's side, who came from Germany but went to America because my dad's from America. So that's not even connected to the Netherlands really directly, even though it's right next door there.
Yeah.
And spent some time in America growing up, visiting my family there quite often. But feel quite Dutch through and through.
Right. Yeah. What does being Dutch mean like for you?
It might mean something completely different to others who still live in the Netherlands, because I just have this little chapter of life, the first 10 years of life, where I grew up in Guido.
I know the place. I've been there.
Cute medieval town, basically.
Massive cheese market.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome.
But what it means to me, I think it's a way of thinking. It's a way of speaking. It's not just the words and the language that are different. It's that's why I think different languages are so interesting, because it's not just a translation to try to get the same message across. There are words that there are no direct translatable words for.
Yeah.
Couple favorite ones are gezellig, which is like,
gezellig.
It's kind of like cozy, but it's like, it means, I guess, usually in the winter, inside, candles on, it's warm, you're with friends or family, and it's just like, it's more than just cozy, because you'd be cozy by yourself, but it's a bit hard to be gezellig by yourself.
I agree. Gesellig in German means literally Gesellschaft, or having the company around you.
Yeah.
Cozy, we would call gemütlich, it can be alone, but gesellig is the group gathering coziness.
It requires the other people, for sure.
It does. Yeah. Oh, cool.
And the other one that I find funny to tell people is uitbuiken, which is after you've had a big meal. The literal translation would be out bellying. And basically,
you're full to the brim,
you're
kind
full,
of.
and it's just like some time to digest and relax. Yeah.
I think the closest English expression I've learned would be food coma.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of what outbroken means?
Yeah, that's true. Although I think outbroken seems more positive. Food coma is like definitely ate way too much. Outbroken maybe as well.
Right. Yeah, food coma has like a hospital like coma. You know, very negative. Like person can't do things. But the outbroken means like almost a pleasurable state of being full.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's cool. So being Dutch, using words in a different way, having a unique way of speaking, having a unique way of thinking. So in what ways have you personally experienced the Netherlands or Dutch people to think in a way that you haven't found in Tanzania or in New Zealand or in America?
Yeah, I think it's maybe a touch of what people might relate to as like a German way of thinking, but not quite as much. So it's definitely critically analysing things.
Yeah.
And so questioning things and diving deep and looking at things maybe a bit more from a first principles perspective.
Yes.
Being conscious and aware of the on-flow effects of things. Not to say that that's not the case in other languages or cultures, but that's just my experience with at least the time and people I've spent in
the generational or future way thinking that Maoris in New Zealand do extremely well. 7 generations, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's funny to me as a German born and also after 10 years, big shifts and stuff. That you say the German people are like here on critical thinking, and then the Dutch people are sort of
just a touch below.
And whenever I speak to other people, when they say to me, "What is Dutch or Dutch people? What is it like for you, or do you understand their language?" I'm like, they seem very intense. Like for me, the Dutch people are higher in terms of the directness of speech, the efficiency in which they can converse. It's almost too blunt for me, and people call me blunt. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes, fair enough.
So it goes like, do you like this? Yes, no.
Yeah.
That's the Dutch way.
Yeah, that's probably a good point, actually. I'd say the Germans are maybe, in comparison, might be more accurate and precise and like timely. But in terms of direct communication, the Dutch might be less concerned about
how people perceive it, right?
How people would perceive a direct answer. Like they value a true answer.
Yes.
And so if you ask something of someone like, "Hey, do you like my new haircut?" And it's just like,
no.
Well, they could have done that. Whereas it's very different in New Zealand. It's basically the other end of the spectrum, I think, here is it's very much, yes, it's good. Are you having a good day? Yes, great, thanks. And it's always like quite not sharing the directness.
Right. Yeah. They value more, and this again, super generalization of cultural stereotypes here. Everybody is different in the Netherlands, and everybody in New Zealand and Germany is different. However, there are patterns, and we see them. And I think when people are aware of the cornerstones of a culture, let's say direct speech or punctuality obsession, then working together can be so much easier because we know what's up. And like you said, the Kiwis, in your experience, have focused more on can I make sure that people feel good and think well of me? And the Dutch people and the German people are like, whatever, I'll just say what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and also with the intent of being true and honest to them.
Yeah.
So it's not about, I don't care what you feel like. It's like, no, I care about you as a person. I want you to know my opinion because it's helpful for you. It's constructive. I guess that they both have their place, and I think there's a lot of value in understanding the different approaches that both, I guess, to understand why that's the case, and when communicating that it's okay if someone has a different method of communication, so to not be too offended in either direction. So, because you could even get a Dutch person might get really frustrated about it, like, why are you never telling me the truth?
Yes.
You know, and vice versa, obviously. It's like, why are you so direct? It's mean. It's like, no, everyone's just communicating how they're used to and what they think is best.
That's very, a pattern comes up in my mind as you are saying this. Because what I have noticed in my own friendships and the clients, the conversations that I keep attracting, usually 70% would be non-New Zealand. So I have a very high percentage of international friends or foreigners who migrated here, people who chose this to be their home. And I think what we have in common, we have all these differences in the backgrounds and the religions and the skin colors, you know, but what we have in common that we appreciate about New Zealand is that we get to play here. It's a large country with a small population, incredible natural beauty, and I'm zooming into the right here, right now with what you're currently doing. You are creating beautiful bespoke furniture for people. And it's not just some kind of furniture, which you could have done in the Netherlands or in America, but it's about totara and shaping it and creating products for people that have a connection to the place they are living in. Can you share a bit more?
Yeah.
What got you into this?
What got me into this? A deep-rooted care for the well-being of the world, and a frustration with why are things not done in a more obvious way that just looks after all living things.
Yeah.
Basically, it goes back to probably when I was maybe 16 and starting to critically analyze the world. And you know, when you're a really young kid, I think you look at your parents or at adults or at businesses or whatever, and you think they've got it all sorted and there's the world and I don't know anything. And at some stage you get a few more examples of like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
Can I just interrupt? When you were 17, which place were you living at that time? Was it America or did I follow the journey?
No, it was here in Lincoln.
You already were here.
Yeah.
So the first 10 years was...
First 10 years was the Netherlands, and then we immigrated to New Zealand.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but I had spent lots of time just visiting family in America.
Yeah.
And really looking at like, well, why are some of these problems happening, whether it's inequality or whether it's like animals not being treated well or the climate seems to be like getting thrashed here and there. It's like, what's going on? And just getting really frustrated essentially by that. And at the same time, having been brought up in a household and having done some relatively extensive traveling growing up and seeing different ways that things can be done and different ways that different cultures and families and people operate. And being like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. And I guess seeing that there was like this shift or a trend towards more sustainable living, even then, nearly 20 years ago. And it's, you know, maybe I thought it would move faster. I thought it was like, oh, well, obviously this is like, you know, that's a bit of an old school way that the world is operating and people are getting clued up and there's more knowledge sharing now. And, you know, everyone's going to figure it out pretty quick and it's all going to come together. But I'd like to be part of that.
Yeah.
And I dabbled with like, what are the different ways of highlighting some of these issues, or how can I spend my time trying to, I don't know, do my part in making it better? And like, remember the Occupy movement, like it was involved to that, and like camping out in town and seeing that sort of essentially protesting point of view. And there's a room for protesting, but I did find that it's just like, like it's good for some awareness, but it's not addressing the core drivers.
Yes.
And the same with, I guess, when I was at university, I was like part of the Greens Party. I was and like went to visit Parliament a few times and involved in that world to an extent. It's like, yes, definitely they have, you know, politics plays an extremely important role, but saw the overarching like powers was really the capitalist system that we live in. Yeah. And the especially corporate, but really business and finance is driving the world that we've designed. And so instead of what I found, or at least what I decided would be my path, was instead of yelling about it or trying to change legislation for it, is to get into the belly of it and to essentially try to be an example where even if businesses don't care, understanding human nature and greed, and some people just don't, you know, everyone's got their own things that they prioritize. But even if there's no care for equality or the environment or this type of well-being, if it can help create some examples where it's actually profitable and in their interest to do good,
Yeah.
then they don't need to care. They just need to continue following what they want to do, and as a byproduct, there will be goodness that comes from that.
Very meta-level perspective you approached there. You went in it to experience I can unleash my rage, my anger, my frustration, this is not right, you know better, why don't you do better? But then when you zoom out, you see, well, the shouting and protesting is good, but I want to also contribute to what is feeding this political construct that we've built as humans.
Yeah.
That is just made up. A green party is just something because we call it a green party. Actually, it's a bunch of people who want to do stuff.
Yeah.
But you have seen that because of the construct, the people are not getting to do what they know is good. They're busy with fighting a system that is working against them because the drivers are the finance, the capitalism,
and they're so
the
strong.
money.
So it's like an uphill battle. It's
so
pretty
you said,
difficult.
I'm going into the money-making folks and just make them do better products. And so the money turns greener because I'm actively working on that.
Yeah.
So how does innate furniture and totara trees fit into this picture of Guido now, not Guido with 717?
Yeah, fair enough. So essentially, I guess it was only earlier this year that I thought about this in depth again. It's like, oh, wow, we've actually, I guess, put together exactly that, which is an example that by focusing on, excuse me, we've put together an example like that by focusing on purpose and ethos first, and telling the story of, if you look around us, like what's everything made of? And I really like analysing like buildings and clothing and essentially anything we use in our daily life, and really thinking like, well, where does it come from? And where do the materials come from, and who's involved with that process of making it, and how is it moved around, and what is the impact of that on our air quality or the waste stream effects or the whole picture. And if you start with that approach rather than start with like furniture, it's like what are the most appropriate and responsible places to source the materials that we need to construct the world that we have around us, and do we have the materials required to construct that world? And luckily in New Zealand we do have a really broad range of materials, but again it's just like, well, but they're not really being utilised. Or
sent overseas, and we're not using them here.
Yeah, that's right. So we grow a lot of trees and we send them as logs overseas. So we're not value adding here. And then, funnily enough, they often get turned into products overseas and they get brought back. And at the same time, we're also importing raw materials from overseas that we have available here that we're not utilising and working with. So how that works with totara, for example, and people have this perspective of, not all people, but there's this fear perspective actually of native timber being like, oh, don't touch our forests,
right?
Because historically it has been a huge issue. Māori originally, but especially Pākehā, when it came, there was a lot of slash and burn, and a lot of our native forests are no longer there because we didn't care for them. And Māori actually learned this, as far as my understanding is anyway. I'm not an expert in this, but there was, when initially New Zealand was inhabited, there was maybe not a full understanding of the size of the country, and a lot of resources were extracted, and after a while realised, some of these are being changed here. So then there were some general understandings put in place in terms of areas that wouldn't be touched, or how we could work in collaboration with nature in perpetuity. That did not apply when Pākehā came here. It was a lot of clear felling, and so as a result we lost a heck of a lot of our remu especially. And so because of the history of not looking after our land, as soon as someone mentions using native timber, there's this like, what's going on there? We shouldn't be doing that.
So that has changed now. You're saying with totara, the specific tree that you mainly want to use going forward, and some other natives, you plant them, or what's the story there?
Yeah, right. So there's a small number of species in New Zealand that are in abundance, and by law in New Zealand through the Forest Act, no one can just go in and cut down a native forest, so that's already off the cards, and as it should be, heavily regulated. But through continuous cover forestry, whether it's Totara or West Coast Beach, a very small percentage over a large area of land can be harvested through sustainable forest management plans that need to be applied through MPI. Everything is very heavily recorded in terms of GPS coordinates of where the trees were standing. Like it's done in a way that that the law ensures, unless it's broken, that we can work with these resources forever.
Beautiful.
And so the amounts that can be harvested, it mimics natural disturbances quite often as well. So like a slip in a forest or a windfall event. So there is naturally going to be disturbances in
then
forests.
You can harvest them safely because it's all been documented and tracked now.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, that's right. And it comes down to the quantity of as well. So like taking 3 or 4 trees in the middle of a large biodiverse piece of land, say on the West Coast, where there'll be a lot of beech standing. Leaving the roots in the ground, leaving the canopy in the forest to rot and decay and feed the next generation of trees to come through, and only taking out the valued log. And then especially if it can be, say, heli logged out, or if it's near a road, so you're not dragging it through the forest.
Gotcha.
Creating enough of a gap in the canopy for the light to reach the forest floor so that the seedlings just come back. And so there's no tree planting required.
There's smart. Permaculture for forests.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey.
So that's the case for beech, and in Totara, for Totara in Northland, that's a slightly different story where there was a lot of clear felling that's happened historically, and there's a lot of grazing and farmland there, but there's all this marginal farmland, really steep hillsides, which are erosion prone as well, where Totara just has come back by itself.
Right.
So once you see and identify what a totara tree looks like, it's impossible to drive anywhere really in the northern half of the North Island and not see it everywhere.
It got such an unusual bark.
Yeah.
I recently, since you've been into this, whenever Kai and I go into a hikoi in the forest, we're like, oh, that's a totara, because it's so unusually looking.
Yeah, that's right. And the little leaves, they're really unique as well, great for bonsais.
Aye.
But it grows in absolute abundance. Like farmers, a lot of them struggle to hold them back.
Gotcha.
Really.
And now you can utilize them to make tables, benches, other furniture.
Yeah, well, that's right. And it's not just that the resources there, it's also that a lot of these farmers, they're struggling financially. And so they have a potential income source on their land that is not being utilised, that is a very sustainable source of high quality timber.
Right.
And so, Scion and a group of people up in Northland, they had a totara industry pilot project. Lots of investment went into that, and a lot of it was harvested from different farms, and testing was done on the different applications for it in Rotorua at Scion. And so that has all been done, and now it's like, yes, here's the volume, this is how it can work, these are the applications for it, this is what it can look like. Yeah. It's all there, but we're finding that a lot of the people that know this and that are passionate about it, they're academics or they're researchers, they're universities, they're government officials, they're landowners, they're forestry scientists. They get it, but there's not that many people or businesses that are in the manufacturing or marketing or the promotion of the end product, which is what puts it in front of and makes it accessible to people, which is what drives the whole thing. If we can fill that piece of the puzzle in and make it available and visible and share, knowledge like this. So
you didn't find a gold mine in New Zealand, you found a timber mine, and now you're mining it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
really sustainable, and as you said, it benefits people who struggle with totara mini plants, or what do you call baby trees? Teenager trees.
Little seedlings. Yeah.
And you help them to make an income from something they're actually struggling with on their land. They can't utilize it properly. You have a way of doing something with this. And even you said there's legislation in place that protects those. And there's no longer, you have to flip a whole generation's thinking of native trees, don't touch them, to, wow, native trees, do something with them in protection, in a container that allows the land to be harvested sustainably and ethically and all that.
Yeah, because I think it's important to be realistic and real as well, because it's one thing to say, just don't touch all this, and literally sat at a table with
people who never touch a tree.
And even whether it's Greenpeace officials or people that are really passionate about protecting our forests, and as are we. But then if you ask the question, it's like, okay, that's great, but like, what's your furniture made of? Because what are you actually going to make it from? Because it's either going to be plastic or imported timber, often very questionably sourced. I can go on a tangent on that. Coated in plastics, it's like it has to come from something, unless we're saying we don't have furniture, and the same furniture applies to clothing and housing and whatever else. So assuming that we're not going to just put a rag around us and stand in a forest and that's our life, and actually live in civilization, then we have to make our built environment from something. And so what is the most appropriate, sustainable source of natural raw materials that we can possibly find? And timber is a renewable resource, for sure, and the closer it is to the end use, the better, in terms of transport, of course, but also how that forest is managed. So if you can leave it as close as possible to how it was before people ever turned up, and have it as biodiverse as possible, and you work with that system, that is far better than having just rows and rows of beech or totara or whatever it is, this monoculture system, because you're not supporting the biodiverse ecosystem that we rely on, which goes far deeper than timber. It's all the ecosystem services that we get from that, let alone the support for the flora and fauna that needs that biodiverse system.
100%. I just leave 3 seconds of space in this interview now to inject this artificial, comedy. The audience cheering and clapping. It's so true. And I'm not sure if it's true. I'm just making an assumption here. Is it also easier for you with the harvesting and all of that? Because yes, you're saying the less we get involved, the better. But do you still get a decent harvest? Some people might say, no, that's why we invented monoculture, so that we can get, all the corn and all that on our tractors. But you're advocating for a complete opposite way of getting your resources. What would you say to those people?
I would say it's depending on where the energy is put in and thought is put in, and refinement of how we manage these things. So yes, we currently definitely can efficiently work with native forest and get good quality, well-priced timber out of it on a permanent, ongoing basis, while leaving that forest in a flourishing state. If you look back at pine, though, for example, which is like this absolute wonder tree in some ways. It's very fast growing, and it creates a lot of biomass very quickly. And if you plant a pine forest now, it's basically 99% of it's going to be identical and the same, and it's very reliable. Go back to the 80s, if someone planted a hectare of pine trees, 50% of them wouldn't make it. So we've put a lot of energy and effort, we as a country, into figuring it out and getting it right and maximising the potential that comes out of it. And as a result, we now blast the entire country with pine, and we have really good yields from that. Not having very much regulation around that then results in, okay, well, what is actually happening to our land, and the erosion and the slash and all the other stuff that comes with it. But as far as the biomass or the timber is concerned, it's because we've put so much energy and effort into that. And there's not that much energy and effort that has gone into looking in how do we work with our native forests to do exactly the same. However, even despite that, we still have a good supply of timber, because you don't even need to plant them, because it'll just, you just let it do its thing and it'll come.
Yeah, so you're at this really interesting time overlap between, let's move away from just those monotone pine bubbles everywhere, and look at what is already growing that we haven't even started seeding, that has already been provided by nature, and how can we regenerate that positive circle and keep using timbers from there that we value, that are close to us, that are not invaders in our fauna. So, wow. Totally random question, straight from, out of the blue. Do you happen to know what your name, Guido, what it means, where it comes from? Because I'm
Great
sometimes
question.
geeking out on etymology, and I have a really fun one for you.
Yeah.
Here's my phone. Gone.
Well, it's an Italian name, and it can be translated to Guy. Guy Fawkes is actually, his real name is Guido Fawkes. But its actual meaning, I don't know.
It means the man from the forest. It
Really?
literally means the man who.
serious?
My phone is gone, but I had it on. I put it in there and looked up the etymology of. Could I please have it just for a second? It was so funny. I just had this insight. I'm like, just a few minutes before you came here, I was asking, where does the name come from? So it's actually historical roots, Germanic, like you said, Guy, or Vito or Guido means wood or forest. It evolved to mean he who comes from the forest.
Oh my gosh.
So you're literally acting out your name in your daily mahi, in your
right.
daily work. So
Without
the variant,
knowing.
like you said, the French or English version is Guy, like you said. And then there's some historical figures. Yeah, Guido is the forest man, or from the wood. It reflects the ancient connection between names and natural surroundings, very common in Germanic traditions. So hilarious, isn't it?
Wow, okay. Well, I won't be forgetting that.
You won't be forgetting that. And
nice.
I also think it links back. I would love to have you share more of your stories, but one moment of zooming back in time. When you and I met, I started my leadership coaching journey. You were one of my first clients who helped me refine my coaching techniques. And at that time, you were founder and owner of Purity Home. So at this time, you also were super passionate about environment, natural materials. You looked at toxic-free paint for houses, and then you evolved, looking after Hardy and Thompson, a really good company to learn about wood and manufacturing and making. And now you're running your own thing. So, man from the forest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Man of the wood.
Yeah, it's been a persistent trend for quite some time now, I suppose, and that wasn't really that conscious. It just kept following the interest. It was only a few months ago. I was like, wow, this really comes together as a career at this point.
Yeah, so funny. And how, when I wrote in the Human CV the question, a past project or workplace that you loved, you didn't even talk about any home building, furniture making, wood stuff. You talked about being born in Tanzania and doing something crazy there. Do you want to share what it was?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a tricky one to figure out what would be the project to highlight there, but I thought it'd be, it's doing something completely different than just a continuity of my different professional projects, I suppose you could say. But yeah, so the project highlighted was Fly the Roof, which I guess going back before that, I was born in Tanzania in Moshi at the base of Kilimanjaro. My parents were living there for 3 years at the time. They were doing projects there, but soon after went to the Netherlands, so I grew up in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I'd never been back, but I still had an element of stories and things, art around the home, and felt and photos and things. So I felt some element of connection there.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of appreciation for Africa, naturally from a young age, but had never been there. And it was in 2018, I think, when a good friend, Beer Hart, he started paragliding, and we were living together at the time, and it was literally a Friday afternoon, and I was like, what are you up to for the weekend? He said, I'm going to go to Queenstown to do a paragliding course. I'm like, oh, that's random. I'll come. Or can I come? And I said, yeah, sure. So I jumped in the van and we went down and did an intro course in Queenstown, and really enjoyed it. Was like, okay, this is wild that you can just do this. I mean, you can't do that in every country, and also just people, I think I didn't understand that when you learn to paraglide, it's not that you go through this huge, intense theory thing or simulation, or you go tandem with someone and they show you all the stuff. It's literally like a half-day little run through, and on a little hill you test just running down this gentle slope. And after that half day, we drive to the top of Cadrona.
Do your thing.
And put your thing on, and they just give you a radio and say, right, go for it.
And find a landing spot will pick you up?
Yeah, you walk off. Well, they give, it's obviously well organised and it's safe, and there's a specific landing spot and such. But the fact that on the first day of you even pretty much knowing about or attempting it, that you're by yourself a kilometre in the air.
Wow.
Because we had some good updrafts that day as well, so we went a bit higher, I think, than we had planned. That was wild. So that was feeling like a bird. It really does feel like a bird because there's no sound from an engine or anything like that.
True.
You have to be in tune with the wind, and you're sort of at the mercy of it, but you can also utilise the wind. And I mean, even sometimes if you're following thermals that go up, then there could be birds following the same thermals, going around.
Oh, how cool!
Sort of, it feels very much like the flying that everyone imagines what it would be like flying. But anyway, always thinking some radical out-the-box ideas, I guess. We started doing a bit of paragliding and going through our training, and I don't know how it came about. It was like, well, what would be a wild project to do? It's just maybe imagine like flying off like the tallest mountain in like Africa or something. Yeah. And I wasn't really thinking about Kilimanjaro much, and so just did looking some stuff up online and realised, there's a couple of groups of people that do this from time to time, and they do it as a charity project to fundraise money for schools in Tanzania. And I was like, we could maybe do this. And a lot of the people that do it, they're experienced pilots, and they've been doing it for a decade or so. But we're like, well, it can be done. You learn the thing and you go do the thing, and it's like technically possible.
First principles thinking.
Pretty much.
The Dutchman just came out and like, well, we can do it.
So it's just, and not long after, was near the end of that same summer, we were walking up Mueller Hut, sort of an annual event to go walk up Mueller Hut with a group of people, and there was friends of friends that come along to this event. And I remember walking up and some friends of friends that were invited there who I hadn't met before. I was just getting to know. I was probably 20 minutes into a conversation with one of them. And I was just talking about paragliding because it was all exciting. I was just like, thinking about maybe going to Africa and doing this trip, this charity trip, and it would be really exciting, and we'd be doing something good. And I remember Harry, who was walking in front of me, he was like, I'll do that.
You recruited your team members on
pretty
the way
much.
to
And
Mueller.
I'd only just met him, the Harry and Ryan then sort of joined up with the concept at that stage.
They also had to learn paragliding. They weren't paragliders.
That's right.
At that time,
so they weren't paragliders. So we had 4 of us who had practically never paraglided. We were at the very beginning, all getting quite excited about this.
Flying off Kilimanjaro for charity.
Pretty much. It's like a combination of adventure and a challenge and something new, and certainly the thing that spoke to me most was the charity aspect, is being able to go and support schools that could really use support there. We just took it very seriously, very quickly. And Ryan is also a filmmaker, so he started recording the process.
It was that Ryan, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan Wilkes.
Yeah,
Shout out
right.
to that man.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So Bear, Harry, and I started to. We basically trained for the flying, and Ryan decided to focus on the filming, so he would fly with someone else as a tandem at the top.
Cool.
And we just spent, I don't know what it was, my concept of time sometimes is a bit whack, but I thought it was about a year or so where we just got close to full-time focus on how we're going to do this, what's the whole, all the step process involved with it.
The plan was also to hike up.
Yes.
Right? So there's some people only train to hike up.
Yeah, that's right.
You also had to consider carrying the paragliding gear and flying down and landing and all these things?
Yeah, you get support with carrying the gear because it's such a long trip, and with the additional gear of paragliding.
Gotcha.
So that part's not too bad, but certainly it's still an 8-day walk up
thinner air, and
yeah,
more thinner air, and you just get.
That's right. So altitude training and things was involved. So training to do the hike itself was obviously a big challenge or a mission in itself. Then learning how to paraglide to be able to fly off the summit, and then at the same time raising, our goal was 40,000 New Zealand dollars while we're doing all this.
Yeah.
And I was still working full time for most of that as well. So it was a significant challenge to do that in a relatively short period of time. And even the organisers of the event, they said, we've had groups try to do this before, but they've never been able to get the fundraising sorted and stuff.
Yeah.
It's too hard, but all the best to you.
Yeah.
And we just really got our creative hats on and got involved with the community and hosted events and did all sorts of things.
Wow.
And we learned how to paraglide, got our licenses. We raised $43,000 or something on the day of leaving. We got the last few bits, flew to Tanzania and hiked up the mountain. I was in a wheelchair like 2 months earlier because I was snowboarding and damaged my leg, and my chiropractor, God bless him, he was able to get me back. Said, if we do everything right, we should maybe be able to get you just strong enough to be able to do this in 2 months' time.
You're like, maybe it's good enough, I'll go.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we're doing everything, and absolute legend.
It's like when Bear said, I'm going to this Queenstown paragliding training. It's so funny when you rewatch the video, you will see that you first said, I'm in, which is your Dutch version, and then, can I join? Yeah. Which is the Kiwi in you.
Yep.
So when your Cairo was like, we maybe get you ready, all you heard was like, I'll be ready, and you do anything, and I'll leave you to do your chiropractor test.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it's like, okay, now how do we do it?
Yeah. How was it flying down?
So the flying down, that's where things took a bit of a turn. So there were 18 pilots all up from around the world that went on this trip, 4 of us from New Zealand and Christchurch. The walk up for starters was difficult because aside from I was in a wheelchair, I also had a lung infection before I left, which was nearly gone. So I was like, okay, this is all right. But as you get up in the altitude, it came back intensely. So for the majority of the 8 days when I was going up, I couldn't speak. Literally, I couldn't have a conversation, so I couldn't get to know the other people. It was quite hard to breathe.
Telepathy only?
Yeah, pretty much. So that was difficult in its own right. It added a layer of complexity. Through to the second to last night, I was like, I had to be on oxygen, and I was like, I don't know if I should try to summit at all. But it was okay the following day. So that was a huge mission getting to that point. But when we were at the summit for sunrise, it was amazing. Everyone's really happy. Hugs and cheers and whatnot for getting it to there. And then quickly before the wind picks up for the day, we're all laid out with our wings and on the hillside, and the first people start taking off. Yeah. And so there's a couple of people that fly off, and I laid out mine, and I see Harry and Bear as well, and Ryan takes off on his tandem, and he's gone. And I give it a go, but you're really exhausted. The air's so thin, I already had the lung thing, so it's like everything's 20 times harder. So it's going to take a couple of attempts. So the first one, I couldn't get it over, and simply going down to 30 meters or whatever, the little slope, and then having to pick it up and walk back is very difficult. So as I was walking back and laying out to do it again, I think about 6 or 7 people had taken off, and then one of the guys from America that took off, he had an accident on takeoff, and didn't see it but heard it, and it was actually it was really it was a fatal accident. And so that was no one saw that coming, when that happened, the whole thing was called off. No one was going to attempt anything after that, and we had to walk back down. So I haven't really shared that story with anyone because it took a long time for that to sort of for that to be okay to share, I think. Yeah. And it was pretty intense emotionally for everyone for a long time after that. But I think now that is part of the story, and it's a fair thing to share. So in terms of how I was flying off, we didn't. It was an 8-day
you hiked
walk
up, but then
out, and then
halfway
you just beelined it down straight. It was like a 12-hour walk, I think, just to walk straight down and get to the bottom.
Have you paraglided ever since?
Yeah.
So that didn't stop you. That's a good sign,
Yeah.
that you still have the love for the flying, the bird-like, the silence, all that good stuff, but you're no longer attaching it to that fatal accident that happened.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I haven't paraglided much, and I've literally pulled my gear out yesterday, actually, and getting ready for the season this year. I know some others, like Bear especially, has done a lot, and I really resonate with it. But even the people that knew the guy that had the accident, as much as it was definitely very devastating. There was an understanding of there is some element of risk that you accept when you do something like this, and doing what you love and following your passion. And there are just accidents that happen, and it was a bit of a freak occurrence.
Can happen snowboarding, can happen on the street. It can happen when you swim or surf and drown. Like if you leave this planet doing what you love, I don't think there's ever a full loss there, because the person in that moment was enjoying what they were doing. They were there because they wanted
wouldn't
to.
have wanted to do anything else.
Exactly. So I keep calling myself, when I was in a near-death, near-miss accidents, I think you call them, when it could have been fatal, very, very, like 1 second more. And this I found stuck with me. I said, if I ever go doing something that I love, then don't cry. Yes, cry if you want to process it in this way. But I did what I wanted. If I was snowboarding for a few seasons, and I always thought, if I've done something quite risky, or like, oh, this hurt, thank God I didn't die.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but if I had died, I would have been really, really happy doing what I do right now.
Yeah.
So I hope that your friend felt the same way, or your co-pilot there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
I think so.
What a
And
story.
I actually related to, because if people don't understand too much about paragliding, they think it's really extreme, and they maybe think it's the same as base jumping or something like that, which is a much higher risk element to it. I like to relate it to something like cycling, in the sense that you can take a mountain bike and go in the middle of winter, and it's super slippery, and go up into the hills and do black trails and just like bomber, and you're going very fast. You can hit some really hard things, and you can really
land on
hurt
a
yourself.
tree and you're done.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or in the springtime, you could get on your cruiser and go for a nice slow ride on a cycleway to the beach. And so it's actually very similar to paragliding, where depending on your skill level, on the conditions, on the gear that you use, and how far you're willing to push it in what scenario, it can be extremely safe. If it's a gentle day with good forecast, and you know your gear, and you're feeling good, and you're well within your capabilities and your experience, there's generally very little that can go wrong. It have to be a bit of a freak accident for something to happen if you are conscious to really stay on the safe side of things.
I've got a friend who's really into adventurous stuff. They made a documentary about him diving into places where nobody dives, sailing across this and that, going onto motorcycle journeys in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and these places. So he's well experienced at managing risk. And what you just talked about, any sport, any action, any hobby can be done in what I've learned from people that do these things is, have you heard of the 3 types of fun? Type 1 fun, type 2 fun, and type 3 fun?
No.
So type 1 fun is you and I do something pleasurable together, like a beach walk, the sun is shining, no risk, super chill, cute, like cozy, gezellig. Type 2 fun, you do something together and it sucks a little bit, like the mountain climb was hard, or you did a bike tour and you got a puncture, like that. Type 2 fun. It's manageable, it's a bit discomfort, but it's a fun story afterwards. So type 2 fun. Type 3 fun is that. Doing this crazy, crazy thing, somebody dies. Oh, it makes for a good story afterwards, but in the moment it was horrible. And afterwards, after a long space of processing and distance and, zooming out, bird's eye view, you start the learnings from that event, or you start seeing how the story can help others be more safety conscious, or whatever learnings come from that. So type 3 fun. And so now I keep saying to people, I no longer do the the kind of like crazy snowboarding, going down or the, mountain biking on a black path when it's just been raining and the tracks are technically closed. That's type 3 fun. There's too much risk involved to have good stories afterwards, too much pain involved to actually enjoy doing it again once you've, been on oxygen or broken certain bits. So type 1 fun, easy peasy, everybody wants to do it. Type 2 fun, great story, little bit of discomfort. Type 3 fun, high risk, very sometimes low reward, or the story is only later very useful. So any sport can be put into a type 1, 2 or type 3 fun category, I think.
Yeah, right.
Maybe not base jumping. There's no cozy version of base jumping. Like you said, there are limits for risk, but yeah. So I'm
but for a lot of them that will be the case. Yeah, that's right. And I think certainly as you get older, you're more conscious of the risks. I mean, aside from that, your body will heal slower.
Yeah.
So there's literally is a higher risk in that sense, but also you've witnessed more things, and so more in tune with. I'd be paying a big price here if this didn't quite go right. Like I don't try to break my speed record snowboarding now, and things like that.
That's and also you brought up this topic that is in your SDGs, the good health. If your body gets older, you recover slower. If you do certain activities, you need to counterbalance with other stretches to make your body useful again, or able to do these hobbies. What is your current reset program, like your fitness journey, your health habits? What is some tricks that you currently have learned work really well for you to get your body into a good shape so you can do all these things like rescuing Totara and paragliding? Yeah,
right. Definitely a really strong focus on health and well-being and longevity, really. Recently, just the more start to understand, I suppose, around aging and a lot of the things that people associate with aging and what they don't like is really lifestyle related. That there's a heck of a lot you can do from a younger age. When you're in your 30s, you have lots of freedom and flexibility still to curate a lifestyle that's going to look after you in the long run. So it's like not just your lifespan, but your health span, the number of years that you're free from pretty intense ailments or age-related issues. So what that looks like in terms of nutrition and movement and social interactions, a big part of that as well. So like basically I start the day every morning with a really intense combination of health things, and fruits and nuts and lots of hemp and turmeric and spirulina and all sorts of things that go into this like power health boost thing. And so just starting the day every day with like soaking up all these nutrients, because it's really easy just to have some porridge or something for breakfast, which is healthy in a sense, but it is missing a lot of these other nutrients that they accumulate over time, and they really look after your body.
True.
So so definitely being very aware of anything you put in your body, you are what you eat. It's very true. And then the movement aspect, the earlier you start in life with maintaining your muscles, your flexibility, and essentially strength and agility can be done through I go to yoga a couple times a week and a bit of strength training and stretches recently in the evenings just on top of that as well. It's really nice. Saunas, 100%, detoxify and just sweat it out. It's really nice. It's good for your mental state as well and your cardiovascular system. So we're really lucky in this day that it doesn't take very much to do a bit of research and find the truth around what is good for us and what we can do to be sharp, capable people for many decades to come. And so super lucky to be in that case. I always like to refer back to the blue zones. There's a certain number of places around the world with the highest number of centennials, and there's all sorts of similarities you can find between them. And certainly, of course, it is healthy eating and mild movement. A lot of these places are on hillsides or on slopes, so it's not about extreme exercise, it's just lots of movement.
I thought always those blue zones were near the ocean, but okay, I'll look into it.
I think a lot of them are near the ocean, but a lot of them are they've got some slopes, so that during the day they're just walking upstairs and they just move, there's just more Yeah,
Good to know.
general movement.
So even if you're not living in a blue zone, but you have stairs nearby, you could have some cardiovascular practice doing that.
Yeah, like I was really stoked for a while. I had a bedroom on the third level, so like the number of steps you're doing in a day, if you're like especially working from home, it's just that one change makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I live in a bungalow, but I have a ladder outside, so maybe I should just go up and down.
Well, certainly taking the stairs instead of elevator, or not worrying about parking right next to the front door when you're going somewhere. It's just park it wherever you feel like and just walk.
Yes.
And so not trying to get real close to all these things. And
so porridge, extra nutrition boosts, active lifestyle, and focusing on blue zone habits, and also the social interaction. Like you said, the blue zones have a lot of that, right?
Yeah, the one thing that I think is even more of a correlation between all those blue zones is moving lightly in nature, specifically gardening or growing your own food.
Yeah.
And hard to identify exactly why, but it's probably quite obvious if you think about it that it's light movement, and so you're bending down and you're moving stuff around. You're grounding, so actually being on the soil. You're getting some vitamin D, you're getting fresh air. You're looking after something that lasts longer than that moment, so it's like an investment of time.
Oh, I never thought of that.
And you end up usually sharing it with people.
Yeah.
And so there's a community aspect involved with that there. And so I think... it just covers a lot of bases. So I really enjoy on the weekends just spending time outside, even if everything looks fine and doesn't need tending to, or find something to just potter around with outside, because it's enjoyable, it feels good, and know that is something that will help with longevity and my health span. And, lucky to have great parents that also live and breathe that. They've got a huge vegetable garden and
they've been primed in this way. That explains so much. So I understood the physical benefits, the sunlight. I've been caught by the gardening bug since about 10 days. I came back from a short holiday to defrost. I went to the Pacific Islands to have some sunshine, and then came back here, and the moment I came here and New Zealand started having springtime again, I'm out there digging, making soil, checking the worms in the compost, removing old plants that have died, stuff like this. And it's I never considered what you said about, yes, the grounding, the sunlight, the squats and the lifting, and I feel stronger, but you're growing something that takes, that lasts and that can be shared, which is a big motivator to, spend time on something that's not just me. It lasts, other people get to enjoy it, and it's nourishment for physical, good health and well-being, which you chose as one of your top SDGs.
Yeah.
So one thing I keep asking guests, or want to ask them more, is physical health and well-being, super important, mental also. And in line with that, I briefly asked you before the interview if you could do something that I'm exploring right now, which is called a 30-day challenge. So I just picked up these as little stationery templates. So this is yours.
Yes.
If you had to do something every day for half an hour for 30 days, and that little thing that you do could super help your physical or your mental well-being, what would you choose? And maybe also what would be a reward at the end? So can you think of something you would do for 30 minutes each day? Yes.
I thought this was a hypothetical question before, but I like that this is now...
It's a contract.
...coming to fruition. What sprung to mind was and is 30 minutes of meditation a day, because I don't really do any meditation at the moment, but I do find that activities that calm the mind, that force you to put away the busyness of life and to relax and to just be in your own body and mind and space, that helps a lot, especially for a really busy mind. So that's saunas are great for that, and yoga and slow mornings, early mornings. But the intentional 30 minutes of meditation, I think, would be very beneficial, just from my research and from people that I know that do it, and what logically makes sense. And so I've never done like a solid stint like that. I think that would be very interesting to do, and I think I would find a lot of calmness and contentment. And I also am very confident that if you allow the noise to slow down and you just essentially don't worry about having to think about things or finances or solutions or anything like that, but just allow things to slow down. That's when things that need to come up will naturally come up. And whether that's a realization or a new idea or a solution or just relaxing, I think that will naturally do its magic.
Beautiful. So many good things. So when you think of your typical day or your week, when would be the most likely time slot in which you could do that consistently?
Yes, I have to weigh up if it's early in the mornings or if it's last thing before going to bed.
Yeah, when do you feel most likely to meditate and want that stillness energy? Morning or night? Is morning more your active yoga, workout?
Well, I guess morning I already have a relatively slow start. I don't get up and run out the door to go to yoga. I get up well in advance and it's a slow pace anyway. Whereas at night I actually struggle with that a bit more. So maybe it would be more beneficial. I'm going to go with 30 minutes before bed.
Okay.
Yeah. To calm the mind down
Yeah.
and get into a sleep space because I find that tricky in the evening.
Yeah. And this is great. I wasn't sure if you would say morning because you already have that slow speed there. So it could naturally slot in more there.
It'll be easier in the morning, but it'd be more beneficial in the night.
Yeah, but you want it before bed because the peace and calm is not there. You're more like run, sleep.
Yeah.
So then, I know the reward is already that you get to slow down, the ideas, the solutions, you feel calm, you feel content, all the stuff, you just see it. However, if you could add one little treat, a massage, a reward, a paragliding, I don't know what you would choose, a special superfood smoothie, what would be your reward?
At the end of the 30 days?
When you completed the challenge and did it every day for 30 minutes, for 30 days?
I will go to Miss Peppercorn in Sumner.
Okay. What is Miss Peppercorn
Miss
in Sumner?
Peppercorn, I'll go with a couple of friends. I'd say it's an amazing restaurant. It's a couple that moved over from China and they couldn't find the authentic Sichuan cuisine that they really like there. And I don't think they were chefs to start with, but they were just really keen on having the food here.
Yeah.
So they set up a restaurant there and they import a lot of their own ingredients directly from the Sichuan province.
Hey.
And it's absolutely phenomenal. It's very authentic but approachable for Westerners in Christchurch as well.
Yeah.
And no surprise, they're booked out all the time and have been for years. And
So similar to you, you're very authentic, you're very approachable, and booked out for months, probably soon, because I know you're working on a really big gig for the should I say it?
Yes.
The stadium gig?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been asked by the new Christchurch Stadium, thousands and thousands of seats, guests coming in very soon. It's being completed in a short amount of time, and you will be the one who supplies the wooden catering boards, nibbling, grazing platters. So you make the actual wooden boards for the Kiakaha Stadium?
Yeah, that's right, and that's because of the purpose and the story behind it. So lots of businesses could make wooden boards, and it's that in itself is great if it's made locally.
Yeah.
But in our presentation to them, we as we live and breathe the true essence of where the timber comes from and how that's managed and how that resonates with supporting a local sustainable way of thinking and living. They were very pretty much. I don't know if they were blown away by it, but
they were on board. Come on,
very much on board.
On board. Pun so intended.
And they've just asked for a few more items as well this last week to add on to that. And so, for the stadium opening next year, we'll be supplying quite a few pieces, which we can manage. But it's a decent sized contract.
Yay! Yeah, I'm so chuffed you have it, and I know that because you lead with your story and with your values and with your real passion for what you believe in. I mean, even your name says the forest man. If you wouldn't fight for local trees, I don't know who else would. So this is brilliant. I wrote down the 6th of September, 30 minutes meditation, reward Miss Peppercorn. And yeah, with that, I would love to wrap up this beautiful interview and conversation. And I want to ask if people want to get in touch with you, reach out, what's the best place? Do you prefer email, website, Instagram? What's your channel of choice?
All of them are fine. The easiest way probably is just through Innate Furniture. All my contact details are on there, email address, phone number, and all the social media as well, because I'm always available on that. And
just to reiterate for listeners, so that would be innatefurniture.co.nz.
Correct.
Not com. Okay. Beautiful. Anything else I should have asked you, haven't asked you? Anything you want to share with the world? If we can have it, go out there, what would you say?
I think whatever you've asked is perfect. Yeah, there's not too much or too little. It's good to just go with the flow in terms of sharing one thing. I think that everyone has the power and opportunity to have a positive impact on their direct surroundings, and I encourage everyone to think about whatever they purchase, which is their vote essentially every time they do, to think about where it comes from and who was involved with making them and what impact it has on their life and their surroundings and other people.
Beautiful. And once the channel grows to a really good, lucrative, money-earning channel, I will purchase a table from you, and then we have the Innate Furniture represented in the studio.
That would be wonderful. I look forward to that.
Everything else, we're Team Op Shop here, so this is thrifted, this is thrifted, my whole outfit is thrifted, so I'm queen of secondhand shops.
Nice.
So beautiful, but yeah, the first new purchase I make will be an Innate Furniture table.
We will make you a beautiful custom table.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
My man!
So
that was great.
Man, you were amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
That was the big topic.